Ta-da! Hello, hello! Oh, what? Why are my glasses over there? Hello, good evening. Just a second. Why are my glasses over there? This isn't right. There we go. Oh my. Good evening to you. How are you? Are you ready to find out how they plan on giving IGNIS a happy ending? Because I cannot imagine what they'll do. It's like, okay, you tried to eat me and my friends, and you actually ate a piece of my arm. So, water under the bridge. It's fine. I am very interested in seeing what's going to happen. Okay. And also how long this final chapter will be. You have food and you hope for Dromi to get out of it. Oh! Very good. I can get behind that. Let's see. Because I have no clue if this one's going to turn out also like another 2 hours long. Or if it's going to end really quickly. We shall find out. First of all, we're still depressed in our room, I guess. I sat on the edge of my bed to distract myself. I stared at my phone. This is the first time we actually see her phone. It's cute. It very much looks like an iPhone, still with a headphone jack and everything. So it has to be quite old. I'd been spending all of my time in my room hoping to regain my strength and to let this gaping wound heal. Ooh. Il, however, remained unchanged, continuing to sleep in the room over. Nor had I heard from Ringo about how the interrogations with Dromi had progressed. Oh right, what happened last time? Dromi got all the Minotaurs into our world, so... What am I even doing here? Everyone was fighting tooth and nail, doing whatever they could for the sake of IGNIS and for all of us. Yet I chose to stay inside my room, wallowing in self-pity to no end. But each time I urged myself to stand on my own 2 feet, multiple times I should add, it all ended the same. No matter what I tried, the memory of the incident came flooding in, and fear paralyzed me from head to toe. That's valid. But still, I can't stand to call IGNIS a calamity, or a monster, nor can I handle the thought of life without him around. I refuse to. That much I knew for sure, but my options in this room were limited. I was sure that IGNIS and I were ever to meet again, I would be afraid. If he knew the truth, it would hurt him more than anything up to this point. I want to see him. I want to, but I'm scared. What should I do, IGNIS? Oh. I uttered my plea, and Kododo responded with a heart-rending cry. The small creature crawled into my lap. His eyes were puffy from tears. Oh. Kododo had seemed to indicate some kind of dissatisfaction on account of the distance between IGNIS and myself in this moment. Even I... A huge tremor interrupted my thought. I rushed over to a window, pulling back the curtain to see a large crowd gathered. What? Yeah, well, Kododo in my arms, I hurried downstairs to see things from the ground floor. Once more, I ran over to a shop window, hoping for a clearer view of the outside. Uh-oh. Right outside of Enchanté, through the door and around the winding road, a crowd of minotaurs leading various other beasts rioted on the motorway. It was pandemonium as humans and non-humans alike tried to flee from the frightful scene. What's this? What's going on here? It wasn't the Minotaurs themselves storming through the town as they pleased that worried me. Normally I had Ignis here to handle all of the beasts for me, and there were never this many. I was ordered to the spot as Misha and Canis, who had been nursing Eel back to health, made their way to me to look for themselves.
この忙しい時にまたどこかでベスティアへ続くホールでも開いたってわけ？
ミシェル、そのようなことを追求している場合ではないぞ。
No, it's not a new one.
今までとは規模が違う。早急に襲われている人間たちを救助すれば。
分かってるよ。ことね、絶対にアンシャンテの外に出ないで。
Oh, okay. Then both Misha and Canis rushed outside to navigate the commotion.
まずい。
Wait.
数が多い上にあちこちへと散開している。
Wait. Hold on. Like they're all coming through the wormhole that's at oh, whatever it's called, center. But the door of Enchanté is also still open, and Romy knows where that one is. So couldn't he just like barge in right through our back door technically?
ああ、もうめんどくさいな。異世界の開けた場所ならまとめて吹っ飛ばせるのに。それにあんまり戦闘に気を取られるとイグニスを封じてる結界にほころびが。
Oh. Steel and magic clash in the distance, bitter pangs underscored my helplessness. I held onto the corridor, absorbing from the safety of my shop. Will everyone be okay? At a glance, there seemed to be more Minotaurs than I had ever seen. No matter how much I trusted Ignis and them, I contemplated the thought of casualties. Huh? A shrill scream pulls my eyes to the outside. It hadn't taken me long to spot the source.
なんだよこいつら。
Standing at the entrance to Enchanté, I saw Kadia standing with one leg inside of the cafe, while to his rear, an enormous Minotaur huffed, eyeing him like a tasty morsel. As the Minotaur raised his elbow high into the air to swing down upon Kadia. Kadia, over here! With a small aquatic mammal in my arms, I pried the front door open. I used my free hand to grab Kadia's forearm, yanking him into the cafe with all my might. Kadia came stumbling into Enchanté. It might not have been pretty, but we were safe. I immediately pulled on the doorknob to shut the door when a foot slipped into the gap, obstructing it from closing. The owner of the feet was not in fact the Minotaur that rushed Kadia. Okay, I guess he's just taking the front door. Okay. Ah! Drove me! Eee! In self-defense, I attempted to shove him out of the door, but he tightly gripped my arm. I ended up relenting, which gave him enough leverage to force himself into the shop. So what are you going to do? Oh, maybe he'll just force us to go to Bistia. Kadia was quick to shout at the sudden intruder shooting up to his feet. Kadia squinted, staring at our intruder as a sharp coldness seeps around us. Dromi spun me around, holding me in place before him like a shield, and the ice shattered before it could take shape. I mean, you could pierce him from behind, but you probably don't have enough control of your eyes.
やだな。思いやりって言ってほしいっす。別に店主さんを解放してあんたとガチでやり合ってもいいんすよ。いくら俺が弱いっつっても人間と人外の半端者に負けるほど落ちぶれてるつもりはないんでね。
Dromi showed his teeth, implying that our resistance would Kadia's well-being at risk. Kadia, don't do it.
でもこのままじゃ。
Don't do it! I'll be fine. Please don't do anything dangerous. I think we should wait for Misha and Canis to return. Kadia pointed his disappointment at the floor, to which Dromi nodded smugly. I'll make sure you gya. Okay, yeah. He's definitely taking us to Bestia and to the barrier. However, Dromi kept a hold on me tight, putting me between himself and Kalia. Then, just as he had done on the night he infiltrated Enchanté, Dromi walked me over to the gate and threw me into Bestia. I had Kororo tightly in my as we plunged once more into that icy world. Oh right, we have Kororo in our arms still. As soon as we crossed over, my breath became vapor, reduced to an intense chill that nearly choked me. Surprisingly, though. Dromi, the erratic puppet master, wrapped a blanket around my shoulders. It was made clear that humans are the favorite food of... Yeah, right? And also, Ignis already had a taste of our flesh, so it's like, haha, I'm gonna make him eat you, so he will turn into that ancient monster thingy. Was enough to stop my shiver, giving me a chance to catch my breath. Why go through any of the trouble? Hadn't he dragged me in the first place, hoping I would freeze to death? Kotona, are you really that dumb? Another note. How will the others follow us into this world now? No one of Bestia is still in the human world right now that could touch the doorknob to make it a portal to Bestia. So if they want to follow us, they need to use the portal that is in the GPM headquarters. Seeing as we also have Kororo with us. There's no one left. Oh god! Do you mean... Kororo! Dromi's cemented face warped as he lunged to snatch Kororo from my arms. Then he tossed the poor creature to the snowy ground like a ragdoll. As I reached my arm out to Kororo. Ow! Dromi dragged me through the plush snow. There was nothing I could do to resist. I winced as the rocky ground scraped my back. The what scraped your what? Probably. I don't know. What? Well, that's not ominous at all. The hunger had become torture. It's like my gut was being ripped from my body. How many days had it been? Any concept of time left me. I sat there pathetically, squatting in isolation inside our freezing cave. All I could think about was finding prey, which required me to break the barrier. I clenched my fist tightly enough to draw blood, using pain to hold my focus together. I should have told Misha or one of the others to put me out of my misery. I caught myself groaning in resentment. Then I see a faint glimmer of light, meaning there was an opening in the barrier. While stuff like spells and magic weren't really my forte, I recognized Misha's handiwork when I saw it, and that perfectionist wouldn't be caught dead half-assing one of his spells. If one of his projections like the barrier up there started to waver... Uh-oh. Something in my gut told me to cast a look up at the ceiling, and sure enough... Some wimpy, high-pitched voice echoed down from the opening, making my ears sore. I pointed my fist, hoping he'd take the hint before he pissed me off even more. Ignis. It was her, but at the same time I could barely look her in the eye. But the red bastard flung her carelessly through the barrier onto the shrine floor. Oh, so outsiders can get in through the barrier, but he can't get out. And now we're stuck inside with him. Great. After hours of trudging through beastly snowy fields, not to mention without any breaks, Dromi had shoved me into the cavernous shrine that housed the mural of Vana. I collected myself, but when I looked up... Hi! It was him, but I couldn't make eye contact. The man I cherished most was separated from me, visible only through an opaque barrier. Oh, we're not inside the barrier yet. Okay. Ignis. It was him, alright. There was no mistaking his gentle eyes, but nevertheless his name quivered my mouth. In the moment, I unwittingly withdrew, giving into my fear of confronting him. Dromi drop-kicked my back with a dull thud, knocking the wind out of me. Don't tell me. The reason Dromi dragged me all the way to this ice-cold cave alive is... Are you really that slow on the uptake? Kotone. Dromi curled his lips into a menacing grin, unsheathed his claws, and reached over to tear my bandage with his sharp fingertips. Ah! The bandage clung to my raw flesh, stinging immensely as he reopened the wound. As he ripped the bandage from my arm, droplets of blood dripped onto the ice. Wait, that's his attacking sprite. Ignis rushed to cover his mouth, retreating a few steps back as his instincts kicked in. His cry reverberated through the cave. It hadn't taken me long to realize how much agony his hunger had caused him. He swung his arms out, trying to gain even more distance from me, while all he could do inside his tiny prison was pace back and forth. Don't go. I wanted nothing more than to say that. However, my arm throbbed as the blood trickled down. As my stomach sank, I stood rooted in place. Huh? My arm stopped hurting. Then I hear the eerie sound of blood splashing into the ground. My eyes followed. Hold on. The veins in Ignis's were ready to bulge from his skull, but he fought his ancestral cravings. At his feet, a river of blood flowed and thickened into a mixture with dirt and snow. The runoff trickled to the barrier's edge. I gazed in horror at Ignis's bloody claws. Ignis, was that his blood? Oh, he's hurting himself. I thought for a second that Dromi would have just ripped off our arm. Each time Ignis was tempted by the craving, he tore into his own body. His own body became burned and shredded. He was determined not to devour me. His commitment could cost him his life. I could only watch in horror. I cupped my hands over my mouth, but I knew there was no running. I dragged my feet toward him, watching as his body began to convulse violently.
以上近づいたらぶっ殺す、食い殺す。
Even in the end, while experiencing an onslaught through his mind, body, and spirit, he looked out for me. Just a bit closer, I walked to where if the barrier had broken I knew I would be devoured, but I continued onward, until I reached a threshold I couldn't pass. I'm scared, Ignis. Just look at you. I barely recognize you. It's all because every time I look at you I'm reminded of the moment you tried to eat me and my feet stop. I wonder why. I thought when you love someone nothing could stop you from being apart. That's what I thought until now. What was stopping me from reaching out my hand? In the end, I had clung to a naive fantasy, whereas my actual circumstances involved the very tangible threat of my gruesome death. But through panted breaths, Ignis responded. His voice howls in lament, echoing behind me. Oh no!
なんで俺なんだよ。なんでこんな捕食本能なんてもんを背負わなきゃならなかった。なんでよりにもよってお前を傷つけなくちゃならなかったんだ。ただ化け物の子孫ってだけで。
The burden sat heavily on Ignis' shoulders.
本当はお前を拒絶なんてしたくない。あのアンシャンテでお前が作ってくれる飯をずっと食っていたかった。どんな時でも俺を笑顔で迎えてくれたお前の強さにずっと触れていたかった。俺はそんなちっぽけな日常すら願っ
あ
けど俺も分かってんだ。もう無理なんだよ。あと少しでも近づいたら俺はお前を間違いなく食らう。今もお前の姿を見て声を聞くだけで恐ろしいほどに腹がすき上がる。俺はもうきっと自分以外の命全部を餌だと思っちまってるんだ。なんてどうして俺は惚れた女にこんな欲望しか抱けるんだ。
Tears began to well in my eyes. Despite the grimness of his desperate plea, the sentiment behind it shot through me like an arrow, causing my heart to skip a beat. Me too. My heart belongs to you. I don't want to fear you yet. My heart was all over the place. Feelings clashed, conflicted, and formed lines that could and would never intersect. Shut the fuck up! Dromi once more kicked me from behind, sucking the wind out of my lungs. He crouched and grabbed me by the scruff of my neck, threatening me coldly. Before Dromi put his grubby hands on me once again, my vision inexplicably became bright red. Oh! Dromi had all of a sudden stopped provoking Ignis, so I mustered all of my strength to slap him in the face with my open hand, but then I remembered. I still had to face Ignis. The terrifying truth hadn't changed. But my concern for Ignis was nearly eclipsed by the anger I aimed at Dromi for trying to make an offering to Varna. Dromi had lightly put his fingertips to the reddish spot I had slapped, a rare moment of reflection for the impish beast. Of course, as a human my slap did no significant harm to him, especially not a beast. But Dromi slowly rose, pursing his lips as he searched for a response. Ew! Dromi knocked me down with a roundhouse kick. Well, that's not fair. I only slapped him and he immediately goes for a roundhouse kick? Ignis gets closer to me. The scent of my blood travels to his nose and his cravings become heightened. His face crunches as he resisted the urge, restraining himself from dominating me. Dromi watched the two of us wide-eyed and apprehensive. The werecat began to stomp his feet in anger as color filled his pale cheeks.
あんたの望みは叶うんだぞ。あんたと俺の願いはほぼ同じ。こ
Ah.
んなくだらねえ悪意に満ちた殺戮の世界を変えること。そうだな。
I don't think Ignis, fighting to keep his sanity, listened to Dromi proclaim a last-ditch monologue.
何を寝ぼけてやがる。
Mm-hmm.
バナルだってひたすらに血を流す化け物に違いねえじゃねえか。違う、全然違う。バナルはあんたは今の魔獣どもと違って弱者を踏みにじるために殺すんじゃない。
Dromi continued on indignantly.
空腹を満たすために殺すんだ。生きるために殺すんだ。悪意なくただの本能のみで。
Yeah, of course he does. It's like, okay, here's my very well thought out plan. Murder everyone. Wait, why isn't it going as I wanted to?
死者の尊厳を守り、その肉と血を身の内に取り込み、共に永遠に生かしてくれる。
Dromi, I think you have this
血を流
mixed up.
すことは同じでも、
あは
その意味は全然違う。
Yeah, no. It was clear how misguided Dromi had been. It was
何
tragic.
回でも言う。バナルの生き方こそが正しい魔獣のあり方だ。
Mm-hmm.
バナルが全ての魔獣を食らってこの残酷な世界のルールに勝利し、
Mm-hmm.
かつておとなしく遊ぶように殺された俺の家族や仲間の死が間違っていたと断言できる。
Yeah, I'm sorry, but you missed your chance of me feeling sorry for you. Am I good, dude?
他の奴らにとっては最悪
Because you
だろうと。
definitely aided in killing and brutally murdering a bunch of other people and their families, so
俺にとっての
I suppose from a certain point of view his wasn't all that different from Ignis, but it could never come to be. It was too bitter.
お前狂ってる。残酷、卑怯、ああ上等だ。そんなことは他でもない俺が言っそれでも俺はその否定にたどり着くためならどれだけの血も流すし、どんな最悪だって呼び覚ましてやる。
Dromi had surrendered his fate, avenging his fallen loved ones by taking the whole world with him. Ever since that day, Dromi had nothing, but even now, he looked uncertain to fulfill his purpose. Despite his best efforts, he was once more at the mercy of uncontrollable circumstances. I could only imagine how tragic it was, how much pain he endured, but he remained steadfast. You're wrong. While you and Ignis both pledged to change the world, your methods are different. For Ignis, the inherent value and beauty in the world around isn't up for debate. He's the same as he's always been. He's the sworn protector of the weak, someone who'd give his life for others. That is why he fights. I continued. That's what sets you two apart. He wants to save the world and you're condemning it. My words fell on Dromi's deaf ears. Oh god. Ah! Without a word, he kicked my head again. Ow, ow, ow. I was baying by pain but couldn't pass out. It wasn't just my head, my back, arms, just about every part of my body throbbed.
うるさい。何もかも理解したように語りやがって。何の危険もない人間界でぬるま湯に使って生きてきたお前には何もわからない。俺こそが最悪のバナルの理解者だ。理解者だったのに。やめろ、ドローミ。
I coughed up blood each time Dromi kicked into me, which enraged Ignis even more. But it was futile as his cries of anguish only poured gasoline onto raging fire that was Dromi's thirst for vengeance.
どうして止める？どうしてバナルが降りない？なんで未だに理性を保ってる？どうして？弱い世界の弱っちいお前の存在が一番の障害になるんだよ！
That's... Can you see? This isn't what Ignis wants.
Oh no!
Dromi pulled his leg back, gathering enough force to shatter my ribcage. I braced for the impact of his kick, shutting my eyes in fear, but... A moment passed and I looked up fearfully to see Dromi halted in place. His expression began to soften. But at first glance it wasn't as simple as a change of heart, or even a surrender. Oh, I see. So now his plan is not to have him eat us, but just kill us to see the despair, I guess. Dromi turned neck to glance. Jesus Christ! To glance at Ignis, who watched him from inside the barrier. No, I don't think you will. He broke into a cruel, bitter laugh.
実は俺も食う練習してたんすよ。あんたを見習ってさ。だからまあ牙で引き裂いて飲み込むぐらいはいけんじゃないかな。俺に言わないから最終的には多分吐くけど。
Dromi capitalized on Ignis' shock, and the firewolf stood helpless as his old friend shoves me to the ground. Aren't we all the time on the ground? Okay. Let go of me. He stretched his lips into a deranged smile. His fangs were pointed and gleaming. Ignis strained his throat, screaming, but Dromi reacted with a smile as I squirmed beneath him.
Sayonara, Enchanté no master san. Anta no aji no kansou wa ato de shikkari Banaru e to kadatte ageru kara.
What do you gain from eating me?
いただきます。
Ew. Ew. His sharp fangs pressed into my neck. The tips of his canines punctured holes. This was it. I was about to be eaten. As I nearly succumbed to my daze. Oh, there we go. The sound of flames igniting startled me. No, I could have guessed what exactly had happened as I cried out to him. It was too late. Whatever senses he could bundle together were cast aside, ironically to save me. A crimson storm shattered the barrier. Then... Oh. Okay. The flaming wolf, a calamity, let out a guttural, primordial roar of awakening. Bestia, land of the beasts. Its inhabitants follow a strict code of law. The strong dominate the weak or thin them from the herd. Tonight, once more beneath moonlight, somewhere in this vast, desolate space, someone is killing, dying, fleeing, or fighting. This order has been upheld for eternity. Its rules have been paid for and signed by the blood of all beasts. A crimson fiery tower rises into the night sky. Any beast whose eye catches the red flare blasts upward, stop in their tracks and stares. It was strange. A bitter, intense frost covered the terrain, so thick not even sunlight could penetrate it. In the dark of this night, one could hardly see the moon, so what was that? The answer puzzled all but a chosen few. A mighty howl blazed the surrounding area, a beast feared by all in antiquity, a beast the time forgot, the heretic of doom. The world devourer of Vana. Awakened after millenniums in hibernation, thanks to the latent power dwelling in a young fighter, the flaming wolf is reborn. Led by the call of hunger in its stomach, to satisfy the craving swelling within, the unforgiving winds, the blizzards, the ice melt at any distance near the flaming wolf. Observers from far away cannot make out the source of this mysterious pillar, but its light is nevertheless ominous. Upon seeing the flaming pillar, all beasts abandoned their skirmishes, struck by fear. It was certain death. This instinct came universally to all beasts, all except for one. At the feet of the snarling wolf who sniffed for prey rejoiced the calamitous fanatic. Dromi, a fanatic of calamity. His attachment is rooted in a sad yet very serious wish to win against the rules of the world of Bestial that is filled with malice and slaughter.
そうだ、バナル、食らえ、食らってくれ。今度こそ最強たるあんたがこの世界そのものに勝利すべき時だ。俺の憧れ、俺の夢、俺の理想、弱者も強者も全ての命を平等に食らい尽くせ。
Uh-huh. What?
ことね。
At someone else's urging, I was shaking awake. As my eyelids slowly opened, the person I see in front of me was...
よかった。
は？
怪我はしてるけど、命に別状はないみたいだね。
Hold on! Misha. I glanced around. The restless field of ice along with the shrine had vanished into memory. With the aid of Misha, I attempted to stand, placing both my feet on a cold floor. Canis and Rindu stared back at me silently, but something in their eyes worried me. Huh? I knew that at some point I had fainted, but everything else was a blur. How did I get back here safely? My face, my back, my arms, a dull pain coursed through my body. You can't just get... What? Huh? What is this with this game and going, okay, something happened, and then we do a time jump, and then it's like, oh, well. I remembered everything. Dromi kidnapped me. Wait, tell me something. Where's Ignis? What happened to Ignis? Aha. That must mean, did Ignis become Vana? As the reality sank in, I begged for all of it to be a mere nightmare, but all three nodded in unison to my question. So he turned into Vana, completely ignored us, and is now running amok in Bishia itself. Huh? Mm-hmm.
そして何よりもあなたをバナルと化したイグニスから隠すので精一杯だったのだ。
No, none of you are responsible for this. Wait. Dromi laid the perfect plan after all. Besides, you couldn't have just abandoned all the townspeople. I'm sure that Ignis, were he there, would have made the same decision. The part which hurt the most, Ignis succumbed to his instinct to become Vana all to save me.
ともかく、イグニスも放ってはおけない。今からでも追いかけないと。ことね、君はどうする？安全面を考えるなら、ここに留まってもいい。
In the middle of nowhere? Bleeding from several places, probably? Misha offered his suggestion with a nod. It seemed he already expected my answer, but I appreciated his consideration all the same. I responded without hesitation. I want to go with you. I know there isn't much that I can do, but I want to do whatever it takes to help Ignis return to normal.
Okay. パーティーにお姫様を追加と助けようね。In
the name of friendship. Yeah.
リンド、彼女の意思も確認できた以上、すぐにでも出発できるか。
True, right? It's like, so what happened to Dromi? Is he like running behind him, seeing him slaughter everything? Did he just swallow up Dromi? Oh, immediately? What happened? As Candace turned to face the man to whom he directed his question, Rindo came huffing. A snowmobile? What? A small motor vehicle that slides along the surface of snow. What the fuck? Okay. At Rino's prompting, I climbed into the rear seat behind him. Hanging on each side of the vehicle, Misha and Canis hung their hands and feet, sitting snugly in side compartments.
重量的なものもあるし、お強いお二人は飛ぶなり走るなりしてくれると助かるんだけど。
大丈夫、いけるいける。風圧やらなんやらチート使って軽くなるようにしてあげるからさ。
That makes perfect sense.
いざという時のための温存だ。操縦はお前に任せるぞ、リード。
Rino curled his lips into a smirk, digging his foot into the pedal and revving the engine before.
じゃあ飛ばしていくよ。荒くれ狼との追いかけっこだ。
What? As the snowmobile dashed atop the dense snow, I gripped my arms around Rino. Woo! Misha stretched out his head to share info with me as we glided across Bistia. He informed me that shortly after subduing the mad herd of minotaurs around town, they came back to Enchanté. Once Kari had gotten he and Canis up to speed, they untrusted him with Elan. I'm so tired. Then they regrouped with Rindo at the GPM. They routed the minotaurs near his location and managed to manipulate a fixed wormhole to appear in the vicinity of the shrine. Shortly after, Rindo had placed an order for the snowmobile with Mikado after debriefing the doctor on everything thus far. Rindo called to us, and sure enough, in the distance a gigantic beast trampled onto the frozen ground, a crushing snowmelt beneath paws the size of our vehicle. Somewhere beneath our flaming behemoth was the fighter I longed to see.
けど壁画の内容から察するにあれでも可愛い方でしょ。このまま餌となる命を貪り完全なバナルの姿になって
山を越えるほどの大きさになるということか。
Right now, what exactly is IGNIS heading for?
当然獲物となる魔獣たちが固まっている縄張りなのだろうな。
Oh god, I hope the fluffy ones will survive this. Just then I heard a ringtone chiming from Rino's coat pocket.
ごめん、運転で手が離せない。代わりに君が取ってくれるかな。
Okay. Mikado! Yeah, I think we're safe. Kind of. Give me the bad news first.
そこはせめていい知らせとセットにするもんだろう。たく、とにかく話せ。手短にね。
Oh. Uh-oh. What?
そうだろ。
なんでこのタイミングで最悪。
人間界は死神に呪われでもしているのか。
As we all processed Mikado's bad news right before his eyes, IGNIS came to a screeching halt. The calamitous beast let out a giant roar, swinging his nose in search of prey. Then he shifted his weight and sprinted off in an entirely different direction. IGNIS? I called out to him in the darkness, but he showed no sign of slowing. Don't tell me, he's heading towards the portal to the human world?
あー、マジか。発生したホールから匂いを嗅ぎつけちゃったんだ。
バナルは何よりも人間を好んで食らう。
Uh-oh.
あのままホールをくぐらせては。
人間が根絶やしになるってわけだ。その前に何としても止めないと。
Without much time to think, Rindo floored acceleration to top speed. We had managed to catch up with IGNIS, keeping him well within pace to stay right on his tail.
とにかく今は足止めを最優先と。
Oh! Misha motioned with his arms, generating thick, colorful circles of mana that materialize into thick chains of light. The magic change pursued Ignis, tangling around his massive body to ensnare him. I don't think he'll care much, but the great wolf howled, warding off the incoming spell with his infernal pelt.
くっそ、やっぱ俺に高速系は向いてないか。だったら
This time Misha had stretched out his palm. The ground before Ignis cracked. Misha's spell tore the earth asunder. Oh. The great wolf took a step backward, and the ground started to give beneath him, forming a pit down into the
よし
sea.
そのまま海に落ち
A wolf was a wolf no matter the size. At risk of losing his balance, the wolf needed to run nimbly and quickly. The great beast dashed left and right, searching for some solid ground before the entire sinkhole collapsed. The spectacle draws a look of awe from Misha's face.
むちゃくちゃすぎでしょ。でも元がイグニスなら納得か。
ミシェル、感心してる場合じゃないって。
分かってるよ。だったら
But
純粋にやるしかないね。
who was it that collected Kororo then? If Kororo's not with these three. Misha thrusted his hands outward into a shape, then snapped his fingers. Then... Yeesh! A series of incendiary explosions occur all over the surface of Ignis's floor. Even from a great distance away, I had to cover my cheeks from the heat produced by each deafening blast. Oh, so you have to cover your cheeks from the heat of explosions, but not from the heat that this 20-meter fire wolf is probably giving off? Misha, don't you think you're overdoing it?
どうやらその心配は無用のようだ。
As the smoke cleared from the explosions, Ignis had calmly carried on, acting as though nothing had happened.
体の頑丈さも反則レベル。小手先じゃノーダメ確定。というか。俺の攻撃や妨害に全然反応してくれない。
He doesn't even care that we're attacking him. Like he's not fighting back.
ただ餌を求めて走っているせいか。それ以外にはまさに目もくれないか。
挑発や説得に応じない分、そこらの人外や悪党よりもよっぽど立ちが悪いかもね。
ならば我が先回りし直接迎撃しよう。さすがに真正面から攻撃をされれば狩りを邪魔者とみなし排除しようとするはず。
But Canis, are you sure that's okay? Usually Canis had no trouble assuring me, but even the Black Knight was lost for words. This time it seemed was an exception.
やってみなければわからん。
Mm-hmm.
だが何もせず友が落ちる姿を眺めるばかりだ。
Mm-hmm.
リンド、速度を上げてくれ。
了解。少しでも可能性があるならかけるしかないね。
The snowmobile's engine let out a low grumble over the icy fields. Soon we overtook Ignis, and when we had gained a fair bit of distance, Canis leapt out of the snowmobile, unsheathing his enormous blade in a bid to distract Ignis. Misha followed soon after, covering his ally from behind. The vehicle zoomed some ways away from the fray, keeping a close eye on them.
足場やらなんやらは俺に任せて。ガチの殴り合いはよろしく。
心得た。
The Black Knight and the Demon King. Even when facing two of the greatest warriors across all realms, Ignis didn't flinch. Oh, okay. The moment I stiffened my body, Canis took a giant leap. The Knight of Meteor and the Wolf of Calamity clashed together, slamming the ground with intense impact. As expected, Canis' sword could not penetrate the blazing hellfire which covered the fur of his opponent. Somehow, however, the Black Knight managed to hold Ignis in his tracks. Misha was quick to react. Ooh! Misha drew large circles above his head that summoned hellish spears, which he hurled towards Ignis' legs. However, the result was the same. It was, despite Misha's effort, futile. Much like the chunks of ice, Misha's spell evaporated before ever making contact with the intended target. Does nothing work?
最悪の名前は伊達じゃないってことだね。
Well, do we have anyone with water powers?
なんか俺が雑魚キャラみたいじゃない王様の設定はどこへって感じ
As I sat in astonishment beside Rindo, I noticed a small magic circle. It was from what I recalled what Misha used to communicate with Io.
とりあえずこの場にいる全員に通話用の術式と魔力を与えるこれで最低限の連携は取れるからね
Behind Misha, IGNIS was still in the heat of battle, changing his sword at the massive wolf without breaking a sweat. Explosions continued to ring in the distance, likely from some spell that Misha automated while talking to us.
それで対策は見た感じだとバナルは無敵。このままなすすべがないってこと
Maybe sound?
いや彼はまだバナルとしてやっぱり完全には覚醒してな
Maybe
い
you can immobilize him with some kind of
そうい
sound.
う隙があるそれと今俺たちが苦戦してるのはイグニスを止めることつまり救うことを最優先としてるからだあと一応俺には切り札っていうかどんな化け物だろうとどんな世界だろうと絶対に勝つことができる力があるそれを振ればこの戦いを終わらせることはできる
Misha, is the what? What are those words? Jesus Christ. As the cacophonous battle waged behind us, Misha heaved a sigh in anguish. Rindo frowned, having seemingly picked up on Misha's implication.
拘束や静止もうまくいかないその上でイグニスに人間界へ侵攻する意志がある以上
What is it? Some kind of erasing him from existence spell?
たちは決断しなきゃいけない
Amend. Do you mean killing Ignis? The other line was silent. I took a deep breath, realizing the answer.
ミシェル任せてもいいのかい
ああもうダメだとそう判断した時には俺が全責任を持って彼を
分かった僕も GPM の臨時代表として同意する
Huh? I'm sorry, tell me right now if the stream is still going? Is Twitch dead? It's still going. Okay, then it's just my own Twitch? What the hell? Just a second. Okay. Twitch is telling me I'm offline, but I'm... We had some lag a few minutes ago. What? Just once. Just once I want to stream without Twitch going, hey, something's wrong. But okay. If you say it's still going, then I'm just gonna... Okay. Okay, I don't know what's going on. Let's just continue. The two broached the topic diplomatically. I couldn't even eke a word in protest. With the fate of my world hanging in the balance, Misha and Rindo had to make the toughest decision of all. There was no denying the threat to mankind posed by Ignis, that I knew. If he were part of our discussion, I knew for sure he wouldn't want to eat, kill, or put anyone in harm. If it were up to him, he would rather die. But... please stop! During a pause in a battle. Come back, Ignis! I realized I couldn't abandon hope, so I screamed out to him in a parched voice. So that's going to work now? You just cry, "Oh, please come back, Ignis," and it's going to work? Grazing a corner of the ice field were several beast clans grouped en masse, the strong and the weak. Tribes who had warred among one another days or even hours ago stood in harmonious awe. They gazed their eyes upon a magnificent wolf and trembled before its maw.
なんだありゃ化け物じゃねえか
どっかの奴らがやり合ってるみてえだがどうする
冗談じゃねえあんな化け物まともに相手にできるか
It was common sense even to savages. While all beasts communed in an unspoken trust, one that dared them to risk their lives in the name of honor and blood sport, the godlike wolf towering above them superseded the futile search for supremacy. The crowd of beasts all nodded in agreement. Savage and civilized beasts all turned their backs to leave the battlegrounds together. Among the number was... Hey, my babies!
ちょっとあんた、何をぼーっとしてんのよ。私たちも早く逃げるわよ。
After they struck up an acquaintance several days prior, the boy and the girl developed a strong neighborly friendship. The girl tugged at his arm, hoping his eyes would meet hers before they trotted to safety with the rest of the pack. But the girl's ears perked upward, twitching in alert. The boy asked what she heard.
声よ。あの化け物の名前を呼ぶ。
Oh. The boy squinted his eyes, blushing because her hearing was sharper than his, but he focused, listening closely. Aha! Each impact cracked in the foggy air. The boy recognized the voice. It belonged to the human woman whom he tended. The girl and the boy exchanged a look.
IGNIS?
Both of them gasped in disbelief, but others soon began to hear the voice. The two put their heads together, trying to discern how exactly that monster was the same person as the beast who saved them. Oh, maybe if they all start screaming like, "Ah, Ignis, come back," maybe that will work. True, the firewolf and this great beast had similarities, and some beasts could switch between humanoid and animalistic forms. But even so, how much of Ignis survived in there? Judging by the beast's reckless, destructive movements, the answer appeared grim. What could have happened to him? What could save him? The boy and the girl took in the sight of the giant beast and realized they were terrified of its monstrous size. However, together they nodded and found resolve. Each of them put one leg before the other. They moved forward one step at a time, as if in sync. They were friends no matter what. Both of them represented every beast who had ever owed their lives to Ignis. They bravely stepped toward that great calamity together. It was a sight to behold. The hardened beasts who wouldn't have hesitated to torture or kill them rubbed their eyes in disbelief. Oh, hell yeah, let's go! After the counter swings of his sword were powerless to deter Ignis' advance, Arcanus had begun to feel like he reached his threshold. Just as his solid armor was close to bursting from the intense heat, thick chains of light had suddenly appeared, restraining Ignis' giant body. This time they did not shatter prior to impact, and the fiery wolf found itself ensnared as it lashed out in resistance.
助かった
Two kids going up to a huge fiery wolf, hope they don't die! What was that? Everyone glanced up at the sky in unison.
申し訳ありません。到着が遅れました。
Baby!
いる。まだ傷も塞がってなかったはずじゃ。それがどういうことか。眠っている間に最低限の霊力が回復したようでして、カリア曰く突然見知らぬ男が訪ねてきて私の治療を行ったそうですが。
Neil spoke in a calm demeanor, flapping his wings while he recounted the story. I guess we won't have time to really think about what a man that could perform, I don't know, healing magic on a fallen angel could be, but okay. Yeah.
能力も体力も全開には程遠いですが、私もなんとか戦闘行動に。
You know that the one fate screenshot, like Rin goes from comatose to bitch in 3 seconds or something? This, but with Eel, but he's not a bitch, he's just... he's just, okay, let's fight this giant wolf. No! As Eel set his paw, Ignis bit the chains of light using his fangs to force them off. Then he rolled over, smashing his tail right onto Eel's body. Freed from his metaphysical chains, Ignis marched haughtily on the icy field before turning to stampede over the downed Eel. At the last second, a shadow swooped down. In the nick of time, Eel was saved by a mysterious savior. To my surprise, it was not Canis, nor Mishia, not Rindo, and certainly not me.
怖っ。何あれ、本当にイグニスなの？違ったら飛んだ骨折り損じゃん。
I squinted through the darkness, realizing there was something familiar about him. It was the furry beast boy who saved me. As he carried Eel to safety, he turned to look over his shoulder each time Ignis roared. Then shattered clumps of ice came flying from behind us. The specks hit Ignis' eyes. Reno and I were frozen in place, puzzled by what he had seen when...
どんだけすごいデカブツだろうと、眼中までは丈夫じゃないでしょ。
No way! Rushing atop the bluff was another familiar face, a young grinning beast girl. It's you!
バカみたい。そんな魔獣の話、見たことも聞いたこともないわ。だったら、なんでもっと早く両親が殺される前に来てくれなかったのよ。
All this
久しぶ
time.
りね。相変わらず弱そう。っていうか、ちょっと見かけない間に情けない顔になったわね。
Huh? The young girl laughed air out of her nose, enjoying a smug laugh to herself. A rumble grew in the distance, signaling the rally of the beast contingent and beasts of all colors and creeds, united by their size relative to Ignis, ran forth. Oh hell yeah! Some of them stopped to pack tight lumps of ice into snowballs, hurling it like cannon fire into the towering wolf's eyes. Others leapt up towards Ignis' snout, finding patches of fur to kick at to disorient the beast. While each attack did no serious harm to the wolf on its own, it was death by 1,000 cuts. The wolf was poked constantly in all directions, infuriating him to no end. He could hardly focus on Misha or the others, and the frustration had become too much to bear as his flames began to widely ignite. Woo!
のった。これくらいなら俺も役に立つよっと。
From under his cloak, Misha flipped his hand, deploying arcane shields which contained Ignis' flames and protect their lives.
揃いも揃って戦いを得意としないであろう魔獣が。これはどういうことだ？
借りを返しに来たのよ。
Damn.
こいつもこいつも同じなの。今まで誤解してた。どっかのお人よしの不殺の魔獣に命を救われた借りがある。だからそれを返す前に死なれたり化け物になり果てられたら迷惑ってわけ。
Then it hit me.
なんつうか、俺がこっちで喧嘩の他にも地元やこいつらみてえな魔獣の用心棒みたいなのしてた。
Although he threw it out in cocky stride, here was the proof as all of the people he had pledged to protect up until this point were gathered together as a community to save Ignis. Oh hell yeah! The girl's proud declaration coaxed a smile from the faces of Mishi and the others.
そういうことなら作戦変更。まっとうな攻撃や拘束が通じないならか乱が得意な彼らのサポートだ。こうなったらとことんイグニスの体力が尽きるまで全力でおちょくってやろう。
Oh hell yeah!
心得た。では魔獣たちの守護は我に任せよ。
では 私もか乱行動をしたいとします。
Everyone fanned out, heading into positions. Now instead of casting wave after wave of powerful attacks, they redirected their efforts by drawing the wolf's attention away from his target, using a more peaceful solution to handle the beast. Rather than slay the Wolf of Calamity, they gathered courage as a unit to repay the ultimate debt to their savior and friend. Even so, Ignis was slowly but surely making progress towards the wormhole, all while attempting to devour any beast unlucky to be swallowed. As this happened...
で、あんたはぼーっと何やってんのよ。
Huh! The girl backed me out of my
さっ
daydream.
きから様子を見てれば何もせずに黙ったりビクビクと怯えてばっか。
Okay!
イグニスなんでしょ。不殺の魔獣なんでしょ。あの時あんたを守るために戦ったあいつなんでしょ。とんでもない姿になってるけどその事実は変わらないじゃない。
Yeah, tell
い
me.
い、あんたとイグニスの間に何があったのかは知らないけど怖がんなら後にしなさいよ。あいつに伝えたいことはないわけ。私の両親みたいに死んでからじゃ何もかもが遅いのよ。
Go off! I love her.
ことね、行く必要はね。言ったろ、仕方ねえから守ってやるってな。
I gently placed my hand over my chest. My fingers felt the rhythmic thump of my heart, the one he swore to protect. There was something I could do, something I needed to tell him. It was... Thank you. I clenched my teeth, grimacing at the truth of what she said, and thanked her. Window, everyone, I have a request. I poked my head over the crowd, commanding the group's attention with the loudly proclaimed proposal. She's spitting facts, she sure is! Let's go! This is going to be one hell of a embarrassing love proclamation, but I was being driven through the ice field in the opposite direction from the wormhole. Windu raced their snowmobile through the tundra some ways from the battlefield.
本当にやるのかい?
Yes. The distraction effort is going well, but Ignis is still getting too close to the wormhole. That's where we come in. We need to draw his attention. Only one thing would work as bait. Oh.
そうっすよ。人間の中でも特に入れ込んでたこの女の血と肉に目があの時夢中でかぶりついてた顔を思い出せばすぐにわかることっす。
He was lured him... What? I'm so tired of these fucking typos. What is this? He was lured... He lured him to the wormhole. No. He was lured to the wormhole by humans. Our only recourse was to tease him with an even more tantalizing scent. One came to mind. The one human he already had a taste of.
だからって君がおとりになるなんて。
I smiled, watching his Rindo furrowed his brow behind the wheel of a snowmobile. I'm prepared for anything, so Rindo, please get away from here.
やる以上は従うしかないよ、リンド。君がそこにいると匂いが混じってうまく機能しなくなる。ですがどうか無茶はせずに。イグニスが走り出すと同時に私たちも当然追いかけますが、
万が一間に合わなかった場合はすぐに傷口を塞ぎ逃げてくれ。それでイグニスが止まるかも。
Got it, thank you. None of them could leave their position, so he responded affirmatively, holding the wishes of the beast people close to heart. I tepidly reached my hand over to the bandage covering my wound. Then, after extending his look of concern, Rindo nodded slowly.
全速力で迎えに来るよ。
Okay. With that, Rindo spun the vehicle around, moving to a safe distance where he could still keep an eye on me. Phew. I took a deep breath, then I bit my lip as I pulled the sticky bandage from my arm once again. Ah! Blood began to pour, gush more like, and I watched the pestered Ignis from a distance. He scuttled as the scent hit his nostrils. Reacting to the scent of my blood, the wolf shook his fur before kicking at the ground to blaze towards me. Eel-eyed the rampaging wolf, flapping wings to overtake the beast and secure me, but...
待ってください。 引きを読んでいた移動速度をはるかに上回っています。
まさか
今までで一度たりと全力ではなかったというのか。
Oops. Everyone across the magic circle, go.
リンドン、作戦は中止です。今の私ではあの速度に追いつけません。速やかに彼女の保護を。
わかった。
The flaming wolf had sprinted towards me at the speed of sound, staring me with terror. As the one who conceived of this operation, I anticipated this outcome. The outcome where nobody made it in time, where my life could end in an instant. The wolf had let out a delightful howl, ready to savor the taste of his meager prey. There was no kindness in his eyes as they locked on target, me. Before I had a chance to move, the wolf stretched his maw open to devour me whole. What is that sound? But something beat him to it. At my feet I heard something bounce. It plopped repeatedly on the icy ground. The sound repeated over and over, building into a louder rhythm, until I heard ice crack beneath me. Oh my fucking god. I hear an adorable cry squeak beneath the lakeshore, summoning even more countless small figures to loosen Ignis's footing. Even he had been taken by surprise. Before Ignis could adjust his front legs, his hulking frame slipped into the water. Waves began to crash, rippling through the immediate vicinity. Desperately, I shifted my feet, hoping to avoid the wave. Yeah, that's definitely more than one. In front of me, I spy a small figure. I recognized that voice. I glanced down to see. Well, who could it have been with that kind of silhouette? Kororo! You're safe! Kororo had been closely followed by a horde of beasts who looked just like him. It was a pride of Pakus. Could it be? Were the Pakus not extinct as we thought? It appeared that some had survived. Somehow Kororo managed to rally them after being tossed aside by Dromi? The many Pakus formed an orderly line, cheering me on from the side. I looked around me for Ignis. When I spotted him, he appeared to be locked in place, although something confused me. Oh, what is that? He groaned in frustration. Despite being, from my perspective, able to get out of his bind, he refused to. It was as though his mind and his body were out of sync. His willpower was diminished. Then I realized. Ignis! I discarded my role as his bait, and I called out to him, running as quickly as I could to the huge wolf. However, there were shards of broken ice all around me. It was difficult to find steadier footing, much less run. My legs felt ready to give when... When did you get here? Yes! The young boy came to my side, his eyes beaming with kindness. He generously helped me to my feet. Oh no! We're probably not getting a CG with them, no. He put my arm around him and supported my back, making sure I found my footing. Then he led me to Ignis. Just as we reached the wolf, a rushing wave caused by Ignis' exhale rumbled the fragile ice. The boy threw me from the crackled ice. He plunged into the sea in my place, thanks to his sacrifice. Ignis was right there, standing right before my eyes. I make a slow, tepid approach to his maw. The wolf immediately raised his head, tracking me, his prey, with a glare. Following his ancestral instinct, the wolf bared his fangs to devour me. The beast cried out in anguish. His fangs halted inches from my face. He's still in there. The wolf opened his mouth and closed it. He began to flee, wincing with each movement. This was no mindless beast. I could hear him whimper in there. I knew it. You're still there. I took one step, and then another when... Of course! Listen, you fucked up for like half an hour and now you're back? Dromi crackled maniacally. likely having watched everything unfold from the shadows, but none of that mattered. Who are you even talking about? I'm not wasting my time here right now extending my hand to Varna. He's awkward and blunt, and he's like no one I've ever met. He's one of Enchanté's favorite regulars, Ignis Carbunculus.
この女まだそんなヘルクツ
Dromi raised his arm, perhaps so he could strike me again when... Aha! 2 chains suddenly appeared around his body, completely restraining him.
なんとか術式の届く範囲まで近づけました。
うちのお姫様は勝ち気でね。まあ、それはそれでお似合いか。
クソがこんなもんだ。
やめときなよ、ドローミ。この状態で逃がすほど俺たちもバカじゃない。君にできることはもうないんだ。
Thank you, Misha. I thanked my 2 assistants and I walked onwards once more. The pillar of light climbed into the night. At last I reached him. Sorry for keeping you waiting, Ignis. I whispered softly into his ears, running my fingers through his scorched fur. Ignis let out a tender groan, then... Once more the calamity surged. Ah, I knew it. The same old Ignis still hides in there. You're resisting Varna. Even now I know you're looking after me. I felt beside myself. But I'm sorry. I won't do what you tell me to. I won't scream in fear and I'm not running anymore. I still haven't given up on you winning the fight. The wolf tilted his head in confusion, uncertain of what I meant. I call it naivete or idealism. None of it mattered to me, even if Ignis himself refused to believe it was possible. I believe in your strength. You're the strongest ever to live, strong enough to overcome the instinct. Didn't I tell you before that I will satisfy your hunger every day at Enchanté for the rest of our lives? I haven't given up on that dream. What about you, Ignis?
違う。そんなことは俺の願いじゃない。俺の本当の願いは、叫びは、本能は。
Tell me what did you want to say? Tell me your wish. I want to know your heart's deepest desire. Suddenly his enormous body began to convulse. The moonlit flames flickered above the frost. It was as though whatever was laying dormant inside of him was fighting desperately not to vanish. The flames weakened and the wolf heaved a sigh before going silent. Then he lamented just as he had at the shrine, but there was new life to it somehow. He cried out from the bottom of his heart. Oh no! The malevolent force that compelled Ignis to flee howled for the last time. been devoured. In a sense. It had been totally devoured.
琴音、
After returning to its original form, Ignis lived out the life he had always wished for. Aww. Baby. Ignis. I called out to his sweet voice as he wraps his warm arms around me. Welcome back. You returned to me as quickly as you said you would. We shared in the same heat. We went to merge our lives into one. Why does he look so small? At last, the night was broken and the warm sunrise was birthed into that frozen realm.
そうだ。俺の本当の願いは、本能はお前とこうすることだった。飽きるぐらい、お前の強さとぬくもりをこの身に宿すことだった。俺はお前を男として欲してたんだ。餌として食うためなんかじゃねえ。
You finally said it. You might run your mouth from time to time, but at least you're sweet. In my arms I felt a warmth and a comfort I didn't know were possible. The thought brought a tear to my eye.
最悪になんざならねえ。俺は淡き琴音って強い女に惚れた。イグニスというただの男であり続ける。
And so he shared his past as well now. From a short distance away, our friends sat watching us, grinning kindly as we basked in our love.
もう一歩も歩けない。本気で疲れた。よし戦ってたのか俺たち。イルをつきっきりで看病するつもりで、あらかじめ長めの休養を魔界で取っておいて、ああよかった。
さすがに我もここまで苛烈。
Personal record.
長丁場となる戦は初めてだ。
She is, yeah, I think so as well.
僕もこの年で肉体労働の徹夜ってなかなかね。正直気絶しそう。
It's probably some kind of adrenaline running through all of us. So she's not feeling it right now.
イルも消耗していたせいか決着を見届けた。気絶してしまったしな。
この人たちでもこんなありさまなんだから、俺たちが全員生き残ったことってすっごい奇跡なんだよな。
正直死ぬかと思ったし、二度とごめんだけど。
うん、いいもの見れたし満足だよね。
そうよ、むしろもっと誇りましょう。私たちこの世界の最強の魔獣を打ち倒すための力になった。
She's right, she's right.
もう弱いなんて誰にも言わせないわ。特にどこかの臆病な魔獣たちにはね。
そうだね。君たちの強さは俺たち全員が保証するよ。
She's very much
彼
right.
を倒したのも結局力じゃなかったしね。
The conversation unfolds amidst the chatter, but there was someone unable to accept reality. The young man fell to his knees. Hi! Everyone else was gathered in celebration, and the change which had restrained him until sunrise were unhinged. But Dromi nevertheless stared into the emptiness, unmoving.
兄貴がこんなの何かの間違いだ。世界最強の兄貴がバナルがこんなにもあっけなく武器も使わない人間の言葉なんかで。
Much to his surprise, someone responded to his cries out in the void.
間違いなんかじゃないわよ。あんただって見てたでしょ。
うん、負けたんだよ彼は。最強の魔獣バナルは。
The people who came to the aid of Crotone, those who overcame the weak designation, defying odds by conquering Ignis the Strong. Dromi turned the thought over in his head, letting the gravity sink in.
負けた俺の夢が
戦士でも騎士でもない、ただの弱っちい魔獣や。
完全な最強などどこにも存在しないのだろう。だからこそ初代古代のバナルも同様に当時の魔獣や人間に討伐された。仮にこの先イグニスがもしまたバナルになったとしても、きっと結果は同じだよ。きっと彼はこの子たちや子供に永遠に負け続けるんだ。
Well, we wouldn't want him turning into Vana once more, but I appreciate this. And oh my god! Meanwhile, whatever Misha and the others were discussing was none of our concern. Hey, Ignis. Over and over, we couldn't tire of it. We basked in each other's warmth, exchanging sweet, tender words. You're so strong. You fulfilled your promise. You came back to me. I feel so safe in your arms. At first, Ignis was taken aback by my directness. He let out a light-hearted chuckle. Huh? Was that weird to say?
分かってねえなって。本当に強えのはお前だよ、ことね。
Huh?
最後の最後まで俺を諦めずに必死にあがいて。
Not to ruin the scene, but for some reason I always imagined he took a bite out of her left arm, but apparently not.
そんで届けてくれた。思い出させてくれた。
Also, didn't Dromi bite her in the neck? Is that also on her right side so we can't see it?
お前の思い
Does no one care about
俺の
all the wounds and stuff she should be having?
こんな底なしに優しくて強い女。他にいた。
Okay. I'm entranced by the comfort of his embrace. The dawn brought a new hope with it. Ah, just then I feel all the gratitude in the world to be in the arms of the man I love.
俺はお前を愛してる。
All is well.
二度と話したりし
I won't poke fun. The scene would look so pretty, I see. I won't poke fun at all the things that are probably missing logic-wise. Because this is nice. His words complete me. I won't let you go either. I squeezed tight, bringing this body closer. The one and only wolf of burning love. It was a fire we now tended together. It blazed on, illuminating our dark past, guiding us to a brighter future. Actually, I'm not letting that one play because I got a copyright claim on the other one, so sorry to that ending. Hi! So did you find more friends and family? Ah!
今日
Oh no! Now where did I put that new recipe book? Ah, found it. Right, I put it on the top of the shelf. On top of the shelf. I stretched up, reaching my arm towards the book I wanted. Ugh! As I groaned from a sharp pain.
何やってんだよ。しばらくは無茶すんなって。
Oh, now we care about her wounds. It was Ignis. He entered the room without my notice, slipping between me and the shelf to pluck the book I had been reaching for. Thanks, Ignis. I can still grab books, you know. My wound's mostly healed up. The pain will stop soon enough. Could not actually MVP that fight. Absolutely.
それでもだよ。見てるこっちがヒヤヒヤすんだっつうの。
Also, I'm very glad that Dromi did not manage to kill them all, I guess. So, I am very glad they are still out there.
つか、そもそもよ。惚れた女の心配をすんのは当然だろ。
Ignis dropped the words so casually, but it hit my now rosy cheek. Until recently, he seemed like someone who was naturally averse to terms of affection, but something in him had changed, and it wasn't just my arm that throbbed. My heart beat so fast it could burst. I tried to distract myself, hoping my blush would start to fade before Ignis had noticed. So it's already been a month. Time sure does fly.
だな。けど未だに散々氷だのをぶつけられた目が痛む。
Those beasts were better at throwing than I credited them. 1 month had passed since our battle against the legendary Varna on the icy Beastian fields. Café Enchanté had gone back to normal. At last, we had mostly reclaimed our normal lives. Although, the neighborhood was still undergoing lots of repair thanks to the Minotaurs. That's so funny though! Like, in the end, all those Minotaurs invading... I was about to say Germany. Invading the human world didn't really matter. Like, at all. However, all the after-the-fact dealings that were thankfully handled by Rindo and Co. of the GPM.
本当に良いのですか？こちらの甘味や乙女ゲームのグッズをすべていただいてしまって。
もちろん君の全開祝いってことで全部俺たちのおごりだよ。
Wait, why did it say sweets when he literally said otome game?
半分以上はイグニスからの見舞いというか負傷させたお前への。
Why? Candy package? Huh?
彼のお財布しばらくはすっからかんだろうね。
それについては大丈夫じゃない？臨時とはいえ新しい働き口見つけた。
Oh, naturally all the regulars like Karia were beginning to arrive. However, there was one slight change, one that left a bittersweet taste. We no longer had our adorable mascot in my room or around the shop. Aww. Oh, Jesus! Korodo managed to reunite with his clan of fellow Pakus.
Cool!
And surprisingly, Korodo was able to reunite with his parents. Honestly, size aside, I couldn't have told them apart from Korodo. There was no way of knowing which was him, his dad, or his mom. Regardless, after reuniting Korodo with his parents, the little guy returned to Beastia Seas. Although, it wasn't goodbye forever. Korodo had somehow managed to convince his clan to uproot their settlement closer to the gate. That way they could spend their 3 days visiting me whenever I crossed over. Before traveling to Beastia was dangerous as hunters prowled the Badlands, it was practically asking for travel. What? What? Huh? I think the second travel should have been death, like it was asking for death or something. But since then, Beastia's seen better days. Thanks to the uprising of lesser beasts who fought in a battle to stop Varna, the more savage beasts who once hunted the lesser beasts for sport took mercy on their fellow beasts. While they're not wearing flower crowns and dancing in fields, at the very least the beasts learned to cool it on the raids. Perhaps other descendants of Varna exist. This thought came up from time to time. So it seemed Beastians came to a new unspoken agreement to reduce their brutalism. At last, Korodo could live in harmony amongst his kin in Beastia. I mean, if they want to fight so bad, they could just like make tournaments, but like, no fighting to death. Just fighting for fun. Ignis wanted this to himself, but something seemed to disturb him. After what happened, Ignis decided to relocate his life to the human world. He moved in with me at Enchanté. With his wish fulfilled, though not fully, he no longer had any reason to return to Beastia as he achieved a top supremacy. And although it wasn't his fault, Ignis knew he had to atone for the crime of letting his ancestral instinct run wild, so for now, he was hired as a part-time worker at Enchanté, assisting me with duties for the duration of my injury. Lest we forget, the one who orchestrated all of it. Oh. Right. After being apprehended by Rindo and Canis, Dromio was once more sentenced to imprisonment at the GPM. From what Rindo had told me, he had been locked in solitary confinement the whole time. Despite the feelings of betrayal, the situation was especially tough for Ignis, who still cared deeply for Dromio. Ignis learning to cook, yeah!
生きてる限りは俺と同じようにてめえの罪と向き合う覚悟が必要になってくんだろ。
Sounds like a plan.
けどま、俺の分はそうだな。
Then
1発2発いや50発の顔面パンチで済ませてやるか。
maybe I misheard you, but did you skip from twice to 50 times?
足りめえだ。やらかしとはまた別に。
Ignis gently brought his hand to
あ
my
い
cheek.
つにはお前の体を散々痛めつけられたからな。
He stroked his finger over my cheeks as though he was looking for scars over and over again. I'm fine now. But what about you, Ignis? How's your body holding up after everything?
もう心配すんな。あれからは制御できねえようなおかしな空腹が湧くこともね。
Very good.
とはいえ、しばらくは様子見も兼ねて普通の飯も控えることにするけど。
Oh no! I see. But even before the cravings began, you appear to have a healthy appetite. This must be quite a
そんな
challenge.
ことはねえよ。飯の代わりってわけじゃねえが。
Hmm? Woo! Mm-hmm. That's one kiss, CG. Woo! Before I knew it, his lips were pressed onto mine, taking small, playful nipples. Excuse me. It was hot. I felt his body quivering on mine as we pushed into the bed. The taste of his lips, all of him. He tilted his head, pecking me from my nose down to my neck. Then he flashed a bold smile.
男としてお前を食えるだけで十分満足してる。
Happy Valentine's Day! Oh my god!
安心しろよ。残っちまった傷跡の分も含めて俺が責任を取ってやる。ま、仮に責任なんぞなくても逃さない。
That meant from now on our lives were one, spent in secrets and whispers from our bed. Please go easy on me.
なもん却下だ。魔獣相手に加減なんて立てないんじゃない。
Oh my god!
ことね。俺の運命のつがい。お前の心も体も丸ごと全部俺のもんだ。血の一滴から指の先まで。 他の奴らに渡してやるつもりはね。一生をかけて隅々まで愛して味わい尽くしてやる。
With a passionate gaze, even with my cheeks a shade of wine, I returned a smile of surrender. You don't need to remind me. I won't run away. I want you, all of you, to consume my heart. Aww. Oh, this is nice. I forgot. Hold on. I forgot that like because Canis didn't have a kiss CG, I forgot that maybe with the others that have normal heads, they would give us some. Well, of course. Okay. This time you didn't surprise me. I knew you were coming. Prologue 3. When was it? When he came here? I believed it would be the same at first, that he would just die like the others had. A spicy GG for all the trouble! A new prologue is now unlocked. Oh my god! Let me see this. Ah, that's nice. Okay. Ah, cool. Cool, we did that. We did that. So who's next? Rindo, right? A hydrogen, that's a very good idea. Hold on. But yeah, we've been going for an hour and almost 45 minutes. So there was quite a lot of them still left to his route. So I guess all the others will just be even longer. Kana's route wasn't this long, right? It didn't... For some reason... Oh my! Okay! Great! I need to go find that clip later on. This was pretty straightforward, yeah. But as far as I know, it's like with each and every route, we find out more about the world. So I guess they will all just get longer and longer. Special fresh apple juice, cafe latte with Yggdrasil nectar, shaved ice, medium, basic, daily special. I love this design. I wish more games when I thought our theme would do something like this. Because I could spend an embarrassingly long time looking at that menu. Okay. So, a new prologue. I wonder if we'll get a new one every time. When was it when he came here? Oh, that doesn't look very inviting. I believe they would be the same at first. They would just die like the others had. Half of them would perish in a few hours. 1 in 10 would survive half the day. No one survives a full 24 hours. I really believed this would be the same. Wishful thinking was a pattern of the past. Still. One day, 5 days go by, then finally 10 days pass. He was still alive. Though he struggled and writhed in pain, he still survived. I was happy. I experienced a miracle I thought would be impossible. There were so many times I tried to tell him, to thank him for surviving, to say we were both the same, survivors. It's okay that these feelings are one-sided. The fact that someone is in my same position. That's all I need. It's all I really needed. What the fuck? And that's that! I am not quite sure what to expect. Like, the kind of revelation we will get once we reach, like, the 5th prologue. Because the 5th prologue will be Mishi's route then. If it continues on like this. And I am still very much, how would you say this? I still think Canis, no, not Canis, excuse me. I still, no, you'll give me a copyright claim. I still think Mishi knows us from way more than just, oh, I saw you once when your grandfather owned this cafe still. And also, I want to know how her grandfather came up with this. Like, if he's just a normal human, there's no way he just opened up a cafe somewhere and then found out, oh wow, there's some other worlds out there. And this cafe, for some reason, is connected to them. And like, so far the game has been very kind with its world building. They actually show us a bunch, right? Like, in Canis route, everything that happened with Yggdrasil and stuff, they actually explained it to us. And in Bestia, we got to know, like, history of the world, how stuff is happening in our world. Well, Reno's human, so we probably stay in the human world a bunch. But I'm very interested in seeing what will happen. Like, are we going to heaven once we reach Eel's root? Is that a thing that can happen? And Misha with the demon world stuff? The thing is though, like skipping through everything until we reach Rindo's road and like the 2 new scenes we'll get on the way there, then it'll be 10 p.m. By the time we finish that, it'll be 10 p.m. And I'm not sure if we can make it through an entire chapter. Of Rindo's road. And I'd hate to like just stop in the middle of it. Because if Rindo's road turns out to be even longer than IGNIS's, then we're going to be spending, I don't know, like another 4 streams on it. So I should try and get as much as possible in right now. Well, first of all, we're gonna just look at all of this in fast forward. Started IGNIS with a new stream. Yeah. After we finished Canis, I did the same thing I'm doing right now. Just skipping to get to his route, and then we started IGNIS in his own. Yeah. But like, this would be a very short stream then. It's like barely 2 hours. But on the other hand, maybe that's good, then I can turn in and go to sleep. I still need to upload the schedule. So there's not much change, the schedule is still the same as last week. We're still Café Enchanté on Wednesday and Sunday, and Okami on Friday and Saturday. Oh, I could try fitting in more Café Enchanté. Maybe. But I don't know. You don't mind shorter streams. That's good. Like, I don't know. I want to go for at least 2 hours because I'd feel like we don't get anywhere if by just streaming an hour. An hour it's like nothing. 2 hours is something. Like 3 hours is what I personally like, because then it feels like I actually managed to accomplish something in a game. Though in this game's case, it depends. Because some routes tend to be... No, not the routes. Some chapters tend to be way shorter, and then others are really long. But yeah, let's just... Skipping all the way to Rindo's route is going to take a while anyway. And there has to be at least a scene where we go on a date with him. The one in like chapter 7. Where Ila's like, okay, let's all go on a date with her then. That has to be something new. And I'm not sure if there's anything else in between that we have not seen, or that would be something new. I've got to say though, I think I said it the last time as well. When we did this, the music in this game is fantastic. And there's a bunch of tracks on it that I would not mind listening to outside of the game. Okay, this is new. Understand where you're coming from. We haven't seen that one yet. It all depends on what's happening in stream. We're just running on an Okami because there's no quick travel. True. True, if I just spent like hours running around, that's also not... I understand, Mr. Rindo. If there's nothing forcing you to be concerned with Enchanté's future, I really want to trust you, Mr. Rindo.
そういう前提を提示できるのは賢いね。
I have no clue what the conversation up to now was like.
まあ信じる信じないは君の判断だ。僕もそこを無理にとは言わないけど、僕や君の意思だ。
Okay, never mind. It was literally just those two. But I guess that's how we raise our affection with him. Personally, I prefer the games where they actually show you like an affection meter. Or like some animation where it's like, okay, you did something and then this is positive. In Hakuoki they did this. In Code Realized they also did it. Wait, Hakuoki is not from Automate though, I think. Hakuoki was Idea Factory. No, Idea Factory is... Automate is just a subsidiary of Idea Factory, never mind. In this game, I have no clue how the affection works. I'm just relying on my guide here. Oh, this one is also new. Okay. I think Mr. Reno said he was going out to buy a suit, so maybe he already took his car and left. I went to look for him, hoping to at least see him off. Huh? Looking for Mr. Reno down in the cafe, I heard someone talking near the entrance. Normal people couldn't have come near here. A bit curious, I quietly opened the door that leads outside. What I saw was...
はいはい、そうまくし立てなくても言いたいことは分かってるって。
His back to the cafe, Mr. Reno was talking on his phone.
いや、だからダメだって。お前みたいな変人が突撃してきたら、
Oh, he's probably talking to Mikado.
ならせめて魔王か打天使の血液を採取してきてほしい。それさ、その後に僕へ死ねって言いたいのかな。
It wasn't hard to tell by the way Mr. Reno was responding that this conversation wasn't heading in a pleasant direction. But what am I even doing? I shouldn't be listening in on his private call with his work.
とにかく分かってるだろ。しばらくは我慢してくれよ。お前もそれなりの立場なんだからさ。今度また先走ったら容赦なくげんこつを落とすから、そこのところは覚悟しておくように。分かった。分かったよ。帰ったらちゃんと報告しますって。
Mr. Reno sighs as he hung up, then...
それで、琴音ちゃんは盗み聞きかな？僕の電話相手が誰か気になったとか？
I reflexively stood up straight and surprised at how he turned back at me. Putting his phone away, Mr. Reno walks up toward me. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to listen in on you. I was just wondering what you were doing.
それって僕に興味があるって話？冗談。琴音ちゃんは可愛い反応するよね。ミシェルが構いたくなる気持ちもわかる。
Don't do that. I realize I'm working towards a route, but don't do that. Don't make fun of me. I tried to change the subject and look toward the phone Mr. Reno was putting away. Mr. Reno, the person you were on the phone with, was that a friend of yours?
それはまた、なんでそう思ったんだい？
When you were on the phone, you seemed like you were... Well, it seemed like you were having fun. I think back to Mr. Window's face while I was talking from a distance. He seemed thrown around a bit by what the other person was saying, but I had a strong impression it was an amicable, light-hearted back and forth. It's nothing to be so surprised about, honestly. I'm certain a reaction like that might upset who you were talking to. Really? To make Mr. Window that flustered, just who was this person? After this exchange, the flustered Mr. Window invited me to go along with him. We left to the cake shop to buy sweets. Ooh. A few hours later, the preparations for the tea party went along smoothly thanks to everyone's okay, never mind. That's stuff we've already seen. I hope in his route we find out more about his family. Like, he said he does have a sister, but he doesn't get to see her that often. And also, I still think he lost someone during, I don't know, a fight in some other world, maybe. Also, how did he come to the GPM? Why did he start walking there? Just one day, met a non-human, was like, hey, yo, what's up with you? Yeesh. Very true. I think we know, aside from... Wait, we know Rindu, Mikado, and... Well, depending on if that assistant is human or not, because I don't really think he is human. We know 2, maybe 3 humans. And then we know all of these guys. Plus Karia. Plus, well, Vinya and the Queen. Once we get to know them here, then we know Dromi, which is 7. We get to know the fluffy bunny girl regardless of the route, so 8. If you count all of the fairies we see, well, I wouldn't count them, but we know quite a bunch of them. Anyone else? I guess we might know Karia's parent. No, we don't actually meet them. We know they exist, but we don't actually ever meet them. So... we know our parents, though they haven't actually shown up, but we know they exist, and also that they live on that island thingy. Technically, we know Kotone's ex-boss. Oh, wait, we know the grandpa? So I don't trust that he's completely human, as far as I don't trust that Kotone is completely human, but yeah. That's up for debate, I guess. Well, I think we know enough non-humans at this point. Not surprising at all, though. Like, the very first few chapters we actually put work into maintaining our cafe and growing as a barista, you know, at the start, when we just started out, when we knew nothing. And like later on in the game, it doesn't matter at all. It's like, okay, yeah, I have the cafe open every single day and we brew a coffee like 2 times. But nothing else happens. It's like, yeah, that makes sense. It doesn't really, but... But that's okay. I think for a romance game we have... I mean, we have way more underlying story that is very harsh at some point than romance, so... But that's not surprising. Access only ever translates the Otome games that have more story than romance, because no one would buy the game if it is only romance, right? Haha. But it is more brutal than I thought it would be. Because, like I said, this game is 12 plus. You are allowed to play this if you're 12 or older. Because the other game they released before this one, they translated before this one, Pio Fiore, is set in Italy and with the mafia and everything. That one's 16 plus because it has way more gruesome themes in it, and I won't be playing that one on stream because I don't think the themes are very suited to my kind of content, or what I wish my content to be like. So I hope this game doesn't get any more brutal than it has so far. Like, okay, the world is kind of in danger because of magical powers we cannot explain. Okay, that's one thing, but like dangers that are very much things that could happen in real life, I'm not fond of those. Like, if this game goes, okay, this guy here, like Ignis, is a descendant of some mythical giant creature, blah 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 blah. Okay, that's fantasy. That's okay. We can do that. But I really hope this one doesn't go. Oh, hold on. With a serious look on my face, I looked at Mr. Rindo. Mr. Rindo? I'd follow everyone's guidance while we're in Beastia no matter what. I wouldn't do anything I don't need to. So could you please agree to letting me go?
そういう頑固なところ、ソアンさんにそっくりなんだね。
リンド、あなたの言う危険性や予想外の事象については私も同意しますし、理解できます。ですが、彼女やカリアの希望に沿うには連れて行って差し上げるしかないのでは？
ないのが。
What was I saying? Like, I know in PU4, because it is connected to the mafia and everything, there's a bunch of story themes in there that I would not be comfortable showing on stream. This here is fantasy. That's fine. Fantasy, fire, angels, demons, that's okay. Not real life people with real life guns, taking someone hostage, terrorist attacks, blah blah blah. I mean, I'm counting on the game to to stay the way it is right now. Oh no. Haha. It's so weird. Wait. We've always seen the scar on Dromi's face? Why did I not realize? But did I not realize that his scar has always been visible? Maybe we see more of the GPM. Yeah. And more of Mikado, maybe. Huh. For some reason, I never realized that we can see the scar on Dromi's face. Like when he took off his headband, when he revealed to us that he's the mastermind, I was like, oh, and he's a scar there. He's always had that scar. I was just blind. Whoops. Interesting. I cannot stand looking at your face. I mean, I guess he will stop showing up once we reach Windows root. Because everyone else stopped mattering when we did IGNIS root and when we... so... Oh, practice pouring coffee. That's a new one. Right, I've got to be productive. Maybe I can learn how to use the siphon. I'm not completely used to it yet. Misha would be able to teach me all about it if he were in a cafe. Unfortunately, he went to the demon world. In that case, maybe I should pour some coffee that Canis and Eel would like.
Yeah, Kotone-chan. Teikyu-bi ni gomen ne.
Or maybe some you would like. Oh, Mr. Reno, good morning. I was choosing coffee beans. My hand stopped as Mr. Reno came into the cafe. He was smiling at first, but upon looking at me standing behind the counter... I'm practicing. Eee. I remember how I was warned about working too much when I first came here. But it's okay, I'm not pushing myself. This was all I could think of doing today.
休日の過ごし方は自由だし、僕もそこまで口酸っぱくは言わないけど、でもそういうことなら話は早い。要は他に用事ができればそっちを優先するわけだね。
は？
改めて意識すると年がいもなく照れちゃうね。
As he speaks, Mr. Reno extends his hand to me from across the counter.
かわいいマスターさん。こんなおじさんお付き合いいただいても。
Huh? I can't.
お待たせいたしました。こちら。
I am interested in his backstory and stuff, but I'm not interested in actually dating him.
当店自慢のボルシチスープになります。
ボルシチ。
熱いのでお気をつけて。
どうも。これで一通り揃った。
はい。ご注文のお品は以上になります。デザートはご提示されたタイミングでお持ちしますので。
With a bow, the waitress leaves our table. What? What do I do? My sweat is cold and it won't stop. After Mr. Rindo invited me here, we drove to this tall building in the city. We walked into this glitzy, high-end restaurant that I'd never heard of. The ambience of the restaurant was overwhelming, and the food placed before us were practically pieces of art. Mr. Rindo, I've never been in a place like this. I'm sorry, but if you could just let me know how people usually act when they're in places like this, I'd appreciate it. I feel so undressed on top of it all.
やけに緊張してると思ったらいいんだよ。そんなことは気にしないで好きに食べれば。確かにそこそこのお店ではあるけどドレスコードがあるほどじゃないし。
Oh god, I could never eat in a place that has a dress code.
客の食べ方に文句つけるほど口うるさくはないお店だよ。
Like, I don't think...
もっとリラックスリラックス。
Are you sure? Everyone here won't freak out at the moment I start eating?
イルが黄金を持ってきた時もそうだけど贅沢とか高級品に耐性がないね君。
I mean, what did she say on how much money did she survive in a month? Like, very little. Mr. Rindo laughs it off and continues.
君もお客さんにサービスを提供する側の人間なんだし求められることは理解できるんじゃない？出されたものを美味しそうに食べる。それが店にとっては一番嬉しい。
Oh, well, you have a point. Being too nervous to not be able to enjoy this meal would not only be a waste, but a slap in the face of this restaurant. You'd have to buy new clothes, right? Right? Like... Yes, I do have some fancy clothes, but those are not for eating out. Those are just for looking good in them. I would not be comfortable eating in those. In fear of accidentally dropping food on them. Gathering on my sofa, I picked up a fork and knife in my hands, and then eyeing the rotisserie, or actually the roast beef, I made a few cuts into it and carefully bring a piece to my mouth, and then... It's delicious! The outside had a nice char-shade, savory, and was very juicy for being such a thin cut. The sauce paired with it perfectly. Is there fruit in this? As someone who cooks, I was so moved by the flavor.
そうそう。人間疲れた時や落ち込んでる時は美味しいものを食べるのが一番だ。自然と頬も緩んじゃうし。ね。
Oh, I guess that what Mr. Rindo was trying to get at as he smiled in satisfaction. I see. I thought I'd been acting normal. I should have expected that from an older man. Mr. Rindo seemed to have been able to see right through me. I'm sorry, I...
おっと謝るのはなし。せっかくの美味しい料理の前だしね。それに元はといえばあの時強引にでも止めなかった僕にも責任はあるんだ。
Still, I'm the one who decided to
だ
go.
としても
Are we just pushing apologies around here? So I'm the one to blame. No, I
僕
am.
も油断してたんだよ。危険性だけを解いておけばそれは
He speaks softly, every word bearing weight, and claims it was his fault for not better explaining how cruel other worlds can be.
というわけであの件は君だけが負う必要ないんだ。僕に
I'm can help.
少し分けてほしい。
I'm can help.
責任感があるのはいいけど抱えすぎちゃうと辛いからさ。おじさんの経験談でいいなら年を食うと弱音を吐く機会さえなくなっちゃうからね。残念だけど。
Okay. Alright, I'll be more mindful.
よろしい。じゃあまずはこの美味しそうな料理をじっくり味わうことから始めようか。
It seemed like Mr. Rindo knew a lot about foods of more exquisite taste like this. We smacked our lips at the food, discussing different flavors and seasonings. I realized that it's been quite a while since I've been able to truly and deeply relax while enjoying a meal like this. That's nice. Don't make an old man cry. He also can't make a lady cry, that is true. Now surprisingly, Kotone hasn't cried much. Right? Can I remember a scene where she has cried? Like full on a sprite crying? I'm not sure. Uncanus rule. Okay. Did she? You have a very good memory. Because I don't remember at all. Like the most I remember of Canis route, aside from us fighting a tree, was like afterwards. Like the ending where he proposed to her despite, well, fairies not having a concept of marriage in that giant field of flowers. Because that one was very nice, a very nice scene. But I forgot like everything else. Not that it wasn't good. It's just my memory is not very good. So, new text. I wonder if Mr. Reno's okay. I wish he would have at least said something about going to investigate a place like that.
林道なりに気を使ったのだろう。事実を言えばそうして心配すると考えたのやもしれない。
Okay.
心配だから一緒に行くとか、お前なら言い出しかねないしな。
Well, duh. Okay. Just a little more. Is this so interesting to me that she loses the light in her eyes during this scene? Like something is controlling her, but who? Or what? And for why? Why is Twitch telling me that I'm offline again? Please. Is Twitch this unstable? Is this my Wi-Fi being unstable? What's going on? I guess it's just my Twitch being... Oh. Okay. I want to help somehow. That's also text we haven't seen yet. Mr. Rindo, I'm not going to ask to come with you, but if I can help somehow. Even assuming I'd be turned down, I began to ask if there was anything I could do. But before I could finish, Mr. Rindo interrupts me, smiling gently. Okay, then it's just my Twitch going off the rails then, I guess.
ありがとう。その気持ちはすごく嬉しいよ。でも
Thank you for telling me.
ここはプロの僕を信じてくれないかな。ちゃんと君の店に帰ってコーヒーを飲むまでが僕の仕事だから。
Okay, but if not, then Michi, Il, if you're okay with it, could you help out Mr. Rindo instead?
ああ、その助っ人は正直ありがたいね。後で俺はきっちりするからどうだい？
私は構いませんが。
There we go. Now then, the rest is just skipping through the scene of us fighting the giant arm, right? There shouldn't be anything new here. And then it's Rindo's route, and for some reason he apparently has like 4 bad endings. But the safe ending, yeah, the safe endings. The bad endings don't have CGs, as far as I'm aware, so I won't be doing those anyway. Like, there's just one optional save we have to make because we need to complete the dictionary, and apparently one word for the dictionary is found on another route, or like another option. 4 bad endings sound like even more than Ignis route is going. Right? Ignis, like for Ignis's route, there's not one save you have to make on his own chapters, because his one bad ending is just a low affection bad ending. So for that one, you just go to the chapter select and start his route with the low affection, and then play through it, and I guess go do the options that are not bringing up affection, and then you have his bad ending, and then he has 4 bad endings. Jesus. I heard the sound of a car parking outside. That by itself wouldn't be anything of any particular interest, but it was definitely in front of Enchanté, and now I'm hearing footsteps approaching. Who is that? Feeling a bit afraid, I slowly peeked through the window. Oh, there stood a figure I knew I didn't need to be cautious around. Mr. Windu, you're here.
Yeah, Kotone-chan. こんな夜遅くにごめんね。
I was actually just awake, so I don't mind, but what's up? I thought you were staying on Amasaki Island to deal with the aftermath today.
ああ、うん。ちょうどその後処理が一段落ついたからアンシャンテに寄ったんだ。休息の邪魔をするつもりはなかったんだけど、今回の件についてミシェルかカヌスあたりに一応は直接報告しておこうと思ってね。
I see. Well, they actually both went back to their own worlds, but Ignis and Il are still both here if you want to.
そっか。ならとりあえず今日は大丈夫。報告の内容もパッとしないしね。結局あのホールについては何もわからずじまいで調査続行っていうことになったし。
I see. Seriously, like what was
それ
that?
は僕も気になるけど、あとは開発家に丸投げするしかないかな。あと僕はどちらかというとしばらくは関係各所への謝罪暗記でこき使われそうだし。
Mr. Windu drops his shoulders with a dry sigh. I guess you got yelled at from us stopping the defense forces on our own, huh?
まあね。イルとイグニスについても向こうから死ぬほど質問攻めにあったよ。
But Mr. Windu spoke as if to tell me not to worry, as he was able to evade getting to the truth of what was happening.
最終的には一番穏便に済む方法で解決したから結果オーライじゃないかな。そもそも彼らの破天荒な提案にうなずいたのは僕だし、自分の責任は自分で取るさ。
It would defeat the purpose if you ended up collapsing from exhaustion. Just don't push yourself. I'll give you some coffee in the house when you come back to Enchanté.
ありがとう。じゃあそんな優しいマスターに会うためにもなんとか時間を作るとするよ。
Mr. Windu continues to look down at my face as if wanting to say more.
無事で本当によかった。まさか人間界で人外の起こす騒動に君が巻き込まれることになるとはね。
We got caught up in a bunch more scuffles.
やっぱりアンシャンテのゲートにはそれなりのリスクがあるってことかな。
Hehe. I had a feeling I knew what Mr. Windu wanted to say, with that serious look on his face, but I'm sorry to make you worry. I'll be careful to not find myself in the same kind of situation again. I tell him, although indirectly, that even if the gate was something dangerous, I didn't intend on leaving Enchanté, which had become such a precious place to me. It seems like he understood. Though he had a frustrated expression, Mr. Windu quietly nods, not arguing back.
でも毎日アンシャンテで過ごす君が心配なことには変わりないし、こまめに安否を確認しようにも僕も毎日ここに来れるわけじゃないからな。あ、そうだ。琴音ちゃん、君にちょっとした提案があるんだけど。
Putting his hand on my shoulder, Mr. Windu takes out his phone from a pocket in his suit. An idea? What do you mean?
もちろん。君の安全に関わることだよ。
After speaking, Mr. Windu smiles
これ
at
を
me.
使ってさ、おじさんと仲良く交流してみない？
Huh? His idea became clear as he waved his phone in his hand. I mean, yeah, sure, we can exchange numbers. There we go. Yep, and it's an immediate perspective change. As it always is. Bing. Very nice. Wow, wow. This took like half an hour. Jesus. Okay, wait, which one is his? No, wait, this one? Oh yeah, this one is his, okay. He has a few more than Ignis had. Wait, hold on. Cadus has 24 CGs, or like variations. Oh, Eel is in between. He has 35. Ignis has 31, 38, 4 of 11, 43. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Woo! Okay. Okay. Great. Then that's it for Café Enchanté for tonight then. Next time we probably get started. Oh, excuse me. And we probably get started on Grindel's Route. I'm not sure what it's going to be about, but we shall see. For now, this is it. Where's my ending song? There it is. Then thank you very much for coming. I wish you a great rest of this weekend, of this Sunday. And we shall see each other on Wednesday, continuing with this game. Thank you very much. Good night, sleep tight, and until next time, bye bye.